stream. We shall see if where I come in will be helping you know where I'm starting to stream. I know that Periscope is working because I see the alert according to my tweet. And I think that looks like YouTube is working. Hey, that's nice. How come it alerts me about my own video going on? It's cool. And yeah, as far as I know, everything should be working well. Just gonna check Facebook.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, guys. We're going to be talking about the fake fairness of Jim Comey, also known as James Comey, as well as CNN and these Democrat women. I should have cropped that picture better. You see that white line down there? Shameful.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, good morning, guys. You can call in by calling 888-775-3773 if you're watching it live or listening live, and talk to me. It is Sunday, January 13th, 2019, and we are talking about the fake phoniness of James Comey. He is the former FBI director. Trump finally fired him after so many months and months and months. He was the guy that decided to investigate Hillary kind of last minute, so he made a lot of enemies on the left. And because she had all kinds of stuff going on. She had like government emails on a private server in her bathroom, or like a closet or something like that in the bathroom, and all kinds of stuff. And then she like used BleachBit to delete a bunch of like information and all kinds of stuff. She like beat her cell phones with a hammer to destroy them, or the cards inside of them or something. And she was just like a nasty, corrupt woman, very obviously. And she deleted like 30,000 emails or something like that. And all kinds of stuff. Wait, Justify This says that's a slappable face. Oh, not talking about me. Talking about James Comey. Yeah, I noticed that as well. He's very slappable. Weak people tend to like bring out the worst in people. Like, that's like the nicest picture of him. But the other one's like he's showing, he's acting like all earnest, but it's like fake earnesty. And the media love James Comey only when he's going after Trump. He's very high and mighty and self-righteous and hoity-toity. If you read his tweets, they're just ridiculous. But yeah, he's known as like this straight arrow. It's him and Mueller too. Robert Mueller. We haven't really seen or heard a lot of how he talks. At least I haven't. But Jim Comey, we've seen like way too much of him. And he was at a congressional hearing months back, and he was just acting so forlorn, and he had these like moral qualms about his decisions, and he talked about how hard these decisions were to, investigate Hillary, investigate Trump, or whatever, all that stuff that he was doing, the former FBI director, or whatever he was. And he's just so phony to me. And I just wanted to kind of point it out because the media is defending him again. And he's defending himself, tweeting stupid stuff about... You can show some of his tweets. There was a headline, actually, from Huffington Post and a bunch of others this morning, I think, that he put out a tweet after Trump went after him again. Because according to the headlines, the FBI opened up an investigation of Trump over his firing of James Comey. And the FBI is not to be trusted. They are just a bunch of liberals, basically. So James Comey indirectly responds to Trump's morning Twitter rant with a single quote. And it says, "I ask you to judge me by the enemies I have made. FDR." And the enemies that James Comey has made has been like Trump. Who else? I don't know. A lot of people don't like him sometimes when he's not doing what they want him to do. But he talks about, this was during the shutdown, before Christmas. FBI families will spend Christmas without a paycheck. The president promised Mexico would pay for the wall, but innocent people are now paying the price for another lie. Our servants and their families. Our servants, meaning the government employees who have cushy jobs. What is that?
Our thoughts are with them.
Our thoughts are with the hardworking public servants in their lives. Oh, okay. But anyways, same kind of idea. He's talking about public servants. Public servants are not servants. They are government employees who have cushy jobs. Generally, the government jobs are like some of the most corrupt jobs you can have because you're like basically unfireable and your job is not totally necessary. It's like not always urgent. There's a lot of downtime and all kinds of stuff. Some of the cushiest, and they're unionized for the most part. And we all know about like union breaks and stuff like that, where you just have the cushiest job and you're overpaid and all that stuff. So we don't really feel too sorry for them. Some people may have some hard times, whatever. But he's being dramatic, and he's falsely accusing Trump of lying. Trump has always said from the start that Mexico would be paying for it. One of his ideas on his website before he ever got elected, on his campaign website, I remember reading it, was that Mexico, a lot of Mexicans spend or send half their paycheck or more home to Mexico, to their families over there. I knew a guy personally who would send half of his paycheck home, and he would just live very cheaply because he was living on his own. He wasn't taking care of a family here in this country. So his cost of living was way low, and this is another way that these people are able to make it, because they don't even come up here with their families for the most part, many of them. They come up here, work 6 months, go back home, and they make a bunch of money. But then they realize that everything costs here because everything is not free, so-called free here, because it's not as socialist as Mexico. We do live in somewhat of a socialist country. But anyways, they sent half their paycheck home, and Trump was going to charge them for that. He was going to charge them more. And so that would be paying for the wall. That was a way that Mexicans would be paying for the wall. They send their money home, they're going to get charged for that money that they're sending home. That was one way that Mexico was going to be indirectly paying for the wall. It was always going to be indirectly paying for the wall. But Comey's lying, saying that Trump is lying about Mexico paying for the wall. We have to front the money, of course, for the wall, and we want to. That's like the basic job of the government, is to protect us from the people, from the foreign invaders. So anyways, Jim Comey is a liberal. He goes after the Republicans. There's one tweet where he's going after the Republicans, saying that apparently there's no integrity in the Republican Party, and blah, 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 blah. Looks like Republican tent is too small to fit integrity. This is Jim Comey tweeting back earlier in January. Today, Republicans attacked a senator for truthfully calling out the president for his lack of character. I think that he's talking about Mitt Romney, while staying mute as he proved it by lying about Jim Mattis and approving the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, whatever. See, this guy is just a political guy, and he's talking about truthfully calling out Trump's character. Trump has more character than anybody else in the government, it seems like, especially on a grand scale, because these guys are just so phony. We must not accept or be numb to amoral leadership. Thankful for patriots across the political spectrum who are speaking out. This guy. He reminds me of, there's another guy who was like a CIA director, John Brennan maybe. There was another guy who was like ridiculous. Just so political and nasty. He has major Trump derangement syndrome. That's what James Comey reminds me of. And a side note about this whole border situation. Before the show started, Anomic in the live chat said, James, please cover these fake border stats. All of the stats are based on how much drugs are seized, how many aliens are caught. And he makes such a good point. We don't know how many are not caught, how many have gotten away with it. Most people get away with their crimes. And especially illegal aliens, if they're sneaking across the country, the point is not to get caught. And he says, out of what total? We don't know how many pounds of drugs and aliens come in total. So how do you know what percentage you caught and what commit crimes? And they say that the border crossings are kind of up under Trump. I think it's because he's more focused on catching them. I remember Obama, I've said this before, he put the border agents 40 miles away from the border, I guess in order to avoid confrontation. And so they got away with it. Scott says, state employees have cushy jobs in general, but they all complain. Yep. So true. Let's see. So Trump is going after him, and Trump is fair, not Jim Comey. Trump is the straight arrow, not James Comey. Let's see. Oh, there was this story months back. I mentioned it on the show where Moby, I don't know if you guys, some of you guys are probably old enough to remember this guy, Moby. He's a singer and white guy, dance musician. You know him?
No.
Okay, so Moby, his song famously comes on at the end of the Bourne Identity movie. Have you seen the Bourne Identity?
Yeah.
With Matt Damon, Jason Bourne? It goes, wee. I can't even do it on. And it's just like white boy dance music. And it's, I don't know, it's a nice 90s music. I like it. I don't know if it's 90s, it's early 2000s, but the point is, like, Moby is a liberal, like most musicians, most entertainers. And so he caught wind from some, like, FBI agent or something, or a former FBI agent, that this Russia thing is such a big problem. And Moby was on social media sounding the alarm with his big platform, right? And a government employee, an FBI person, supposed to be Federal Bureau of Investigation. Who's investigating the Federal Bureau of Investigation? They need to be investigated. Who's investigating the investigators? This guy tells Moby to sound the alarm about the Russia thing because Moby has a big platform. And so that's an example of deep state. I saw it from a tweet from Cernovich and others. He's being ridiculous. Moby. In touch with the FBI. So it's like these FBI agents, they're just normal liberals. They're just like us. They're a bunch of millennials, basically. And then there's people like Jim Comey, who's at the top. If Jim Comey is at the top and he made his way up to the top of the FBI, that tells you something about the culture of the FBI. They're not good, straight arrow people, even though the media likes to pretend they are. The media also pretended like the worst Republicans were straight arrows too and to be trusted. They like Mitt Romney when he attacks Trump. They liked John McCain because he would attack Trump and he would defend Obama as a nice person. And they liked that guy, Kasich? John Kasich, from the governor from Ohio, I believe. They like all these soft, wimpy, liberal, fake Republicans acting like they're so principled. It's so ridiculous. And the media is so corrupt. CNN did a poll saying that 56% of Americans don't want the wall. And most people blame Trump for the shutdown. Whatever, I don't care if they want to blame Trump for the shutdown. It's obvious that Democrats are not wanting to cooperate over a few $1 billion wall. A few $1 billion is nothing to these people to spend on. They spend all kinds of money like crazy, like water, like air. They don't care about spending. They just don't want the wall. And the media campaigns against the wall. The media campaigns against Trump, against the wall. So I'm not surprised if a lot of people are just following that type of sentiment because they're just brainwashed by the media. Like with all this blame going towards Trump by one-sided media that hates the wall, hates Trump, hates what's right, they're a bunch of liberals. And everybody knows that they are. They've been campaigning for the illegal aliens, the Migrant Caravan, and CNN is like the worst. You look at them like they have in their top lineup, you have to think about this, they have in their top lineup multiple like radical homosexuals that are promoting themselves as being normal and right. And people act like it doesn't matter, but it does matter. Like you have Don Lemon, a radical homosexual. Anderson Cooper, a radical homosexual. They may act like nice people, but if you're conscious, you know that they're wrong for being that way and wrong for promoting wrong as right. So you have to keep that type of stuff in mind. They're not fair-minded people. They're not for morality or for what's right or for America, really. They're a bunch of liberals, like I said. They're also, I've covered this before. They put out this article and they always defend like Planned Parenthood, defending and kind of obscuring the facts and the reality about abortion in this country, where like 60 million abortions have taken place since Roe versus Wade, the ridiculous Supreme Court decision. The Supreme Court's another story about people that are just unfair people. The Supreme Court, multiple people on the Supreme Court have officiated same-sex weddings, by the way. Speaking of like fake fairness. And they did not recuse themselves. I think one of them was Kagan maybe, or Sotomayor, I think was one. Maybe even Ginsburg. Ginsburg is in tough shape, it seems like. She had cancer in her lungs or something. And she's been out. She's been missing oral arguments for like the first time in maybe her career. And anyways, these people are not fair. CNN is pro-abortion. They're pro-transgender. They do all kinds of puff pieces about the transgenders. And they're not the only ones. We showed this clip from Good Morning America, it might have been, or I could be wrong, it may have been somebody else. But including one of these morning mainstream news shows, mainstream kind of entertainment news morning shows, is hosted by this, one of the hosts is this black athlete, former athlete, Michael Strahan, something like that. Yeah, I think it is. And he's like interviewing this transgender, drag queen kid who's like 11 years old, dancing, acting like he's a stripper, and like laying down on the ground in front of a cheering crowd of apparently liberals who seem like normal people, but then when you look at what they're applauding, it's not normal. These people are disgusting. That's so wrong. And they're very pro-feminist, the CNN is. CNN takes on all the ex-Fox News employee women who then go on CNN and talk trash about Fox News. And Fox News, they're not necessarily angels. In many cases, they tend to be liberals. Like, some of them are really ridiculous, and you guys can name some of them. But anyways, like, it's a bad situation out there. The stuff that we accept as normal, that we're brainwashed to accept as normal, is so crazy. There's been stuff where Jesse says stuff that's like kind of old school, where he says that this woman, Ilhan Omar, this Democrat woman who's like roughly my age, she's really, really liberal woman, Somalian Muslim woman from, she was a refugee, came here, learned English, tried to get married, never finalized this marriage, had babies with this guy, and then married somebody else for a couple of years when she had babies by another person, and then divorced that man, but had never really finalized the divorce, and then got back with this first guy that she had the babies with, and it was like a religious divorce. And, oh, you can show that picture of that woman. This is the woman, she's the smallest woman on the picture in the back with the white jacket. Ilhan Omar, Muslim with hijab. She's wearing the hijab, which is the Muslim headscarf. I have a whole story on her, but Jesse shocks me sometimes when he says, she might have a bomb under that thing. And he says, she can't be wearing that. And I'm like, well, why not? Because like so many of us, especially young people, are brainwashed to just accept this stuff. Like, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. And it seems like a small picky thing. Jesse will get you with this small picky stuff. And it's not picky, it's right. But it comes off as, to people who are brainwashed to just accept stuff that's wrong, thinking that, it's not that big of a deal. Pick your battles type of thing. No, he's right. But it's kind of shocking to people that are, even me, that I'm like so conservative. I'm like, I shock him sometimes maybe, but I don't know. It's like, you have to consider how far left even the so-called conservatives have become. So that's that. And I'm going to reiterate this point that Jesse made in church. He said, what is a liberal? What's the difference between a liberal and a conservative? A liberal is someone who has anger. And that is such a nice definition. It puts it all clear. And if you think about it, the way that the conservatives act, many of us are, I say us, but many conservatives are doing wrong things, and is just advancing liberalism by being immoral, by being angry, by doing wrong stuff and not being effective, being poor, and not being totally poor, but poor in the sense that not self-sufficient. We have to be quiet in order to keep our jobs and stuff like that, or not get kicked off of certain social media sites and stuff like that. That we have become basically part of the problem. Even though we know that conservatism and stuff like that, morality is the solution, but we're not right ourselves. So in effect, we're liberals. Scott says, the hijab is BS. Most of the ones that wear it in this country are doing it to make a political statement. Yeah, this woman, she says, my choice. That's a feminist statement saying my choice to wear a hijab. It's so ridiculous because over there, activists will burn the hijab or wave it around, take it off, wave it around, and they could get punished for that type of thing. It's not a choice over there to wear a hijab in many of these Muslim countries. But over here, she's acting like, oh, it's her choice. I don't know. That's shady. But this woman is pro-LGBTQIA. I'm just going to start with her. Show that picture again. Ilhan Omar, the third one from the left, she pretended to be against the BDS movement, and the BDS movement is the boycott, divestment, and sanctions on Israel over their treatment of Palestinians. And she accuses Israel she pretended to be against that for the sake of saying that it was not good for advancing peace. And she pretended to be that way during the campaign, but prior, she held office in a lower office prior to this. And during holding office during that time, she was for it. She was for this BDS movement, boycott, divestment, and sanctions against Israel. She was for like the University of Minnesota. I think she's a Democrat from Minnesota. One of those universities over there, divesting from Israel over being like an apartheid regime. Apartheid meaning the Israelis are the Jews over there. The Israelis are protecting themselves from the Muslims by enforcing like segregation. Apartheid, as though they're protecting themselves from them. But I don't know the whole story over there. I don't know what's really going on, but it seems to be, based on the reports from Jesse, who's been over in Israel, that the Israelis are functioning people, clean, keeping everything nice, and then the Palestinians, it seems, or the Muslims over there, are kind of like the blacks. It's kind of ghetto. They don't take care of it. They complain, stuff like that. So I go based off of what Jesse says, and other people over there, other people who've been over there, say that it's kind of like where the blacks are jealous of the whites over here, the Palestinians or the Muslims are jealous of the Israelis or Jews over there. So anyways, like but the point is, whether you're for or against this boycott, divestment, and sanctions, she lied about not supporting it, because now she's back to supporting it now that she's been elected. So dishonest politician, just a phony politician, even though she's young and up and coming and one of the first Muslims from whatever, you know. Let me read off all those people that are in that picture. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on the left, in the blue dress. She is, as Jesse pointed out, living with her boyfriend, whom she calls a partner. And man, that guy is a beta male. He's a white guy. She's with a white guy. Betraying America. And then the next one is Ayanna Pressley, Democrat from Massachusetts, first black African-American woman elected to Congress in Massachusetts. She married a man that has kids, and Jesse speaks against both of these things, against living with a boyfriend and against marrying a man or a woman who already has a kid. This man already had a kid. And this is one of the things that so many people forget, even conservatives forget, that it's wrong to divorce and remarry. And this man, I don't think he was even divorced. He just had this girl out of wedlock, this daughter out of wedlock. But I don't know the story. I don't know where the real mother is. But this girl was maybe 5 years old when these two married, and now she's 9 years old. That's the wrong time to be introducing a fake mother into a child's life. But because they're selfish, Jesse talks about this so much, and he's right about it. It's like a good reminder about these things. And this type of thing would have been kind of scandalous in the old times, especially living with a boyfriend, with like Ocasio is doing. Let's see what else. The third one is Ilhan Omar. I went off about her. So the story is, with her, she has kids, like 3 kids. She had maybe 2 out of wedlock when she was started the process of getting married, but didn't finish. And then got with another man, and then got rid of that man, went back to the first man, and then finally married that man. So at least her man's kids and she are all together, but she did it totally wrong. And she's a far left liberal, pro everything wrong, like I said. This other woman, I have it noted down. Oh yeah, that one who's sitting down the lowest. She is just ridiculous. I saw her debating Dan Crenshaw, the man with the eye patch, the new congressman from, I think, Texas. Deb Haaland, Democrat from New Mexico. And this woman raised a daughter on her own as a single mother. They don't talk anything about the father. And that daughter came out to her as a lesbian. And after that, this is one of the ways that the homosexuals radical homosexuals recruit allies as well as other homosexuals. They have like this whole brainwashing apparatus in the culture of accepting wrong as right. It's in the social media, it's in Hollywood, of course, it's in everywhere. It's in the schools even. And then they have single mothers or mothers with weak fathers raising young people who are like angry and all that stuff. And then it comes out that they're gay. And then these people who may not, I don't know where Deb Haaland stood before this woman, this young, she was a girl at the time, now she's a young woman, came out as a lesbian to her. But now, all of a sudden, the guilt-ridden family members and so-called friends feel sorry for this newly discovered gay person, and then they start supporting homosexuality. And so this woman is like rampantly, really like rabidly pro-LGBTQIA+, just like that Muslim woman before her. She was talking with Dan Crenshaw on Face the Nation, I think CBS, and she went nuts. Like, she was saying that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy because of his rhetoric about erasing trans people. And what she's referring to, and he doesn't have any rhetoric about erasing transgender people. Donald Trump is actually kind of, if anything, too nice to the LGBTQ people. But anyways, like he made this policy or announced this policy that they seemed not to want to enact, the liberals in the military. He said that it's not good for the transgenders to be serving openly in the military. So he's banning that. And that, in her mind, and in all the SJW's mind, social justice warriors, is erasing trans people from the military. It's not erasing them. It's ridiculous. It's like they're acting like he's dehumanizing them. And they like that word, dehumanize. But they're dehumanizing him by saying that he's dehumanizing them. They also dehumanize people that they call racists and Nazis. Nazis are totally dehumanized because you can punch Richard Spencer and everybody claps. One more. Oh, no, two more. Veronica Escobar is the second from the right. She's the one standing in the gray, what is that? That's a suit dress thing. She officiated a same-sex wedding of a young couple, so-called gay couple, who were her supporters. And she has kids. And think about the husbands of these women and boyfriends who, man, like take second fiddle to them. Such a shame. And then finally, and that Veronica Escobar is a Democrat from Texas, El Paso specifically. El Paso is very, very liberal. And it's a shame because that's like a border town, and it's a mess over there. And she like went after Trump, this Veronica Escobar. She went after Trump saying that, what did she say? She said that I'm very frightened, and I worry about the LGBT people. I worry about the immigrants. I worry about the planet, as if she can save the planet. That's an environmentalist for you. These environmentalists have totally infiltrated the Democrats, and the media too. And so this whole global warming alarmism stuff is crazy. But she's just, ugh. And then finally, Sharice Davids, the one on the right. She is the former MMA fighter. She is an Indian, just like Deb Haaland, which I forgot to mention. Indian, American Indian. Native American. We're all Native Americans if we're born here. But anyways, indigenous people. And she is a lesbian, openly lesbian, and the first openly LGBT person in Kansas. So there you have it. These women are nuts. And think about the people that elected them. It's crazy. I got a sneak peek at Jesse's article that's going to be coming out on WorldNet Daily, and he went in on all that stuff. So look out for that. It should be coming out later today, I believe. By the way, make sure you catch church with Jesse Lee Peterson in an hour and a half at Bond. Go to rebuildingtheman.com/church. Make sure you're subscribed to Bond Rebuilding the Man and spread the word about that YouTube channel. Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel. Once we get that to 10,000 subscribers, which we're close, on Bond Rebuilding the Man, we will be able to show the Teespring t-shirts. Bond has Bond t-shirts, and we're going to be making some more designs, but they're very nice. Separate from the Fallen State t-shirts and separate from the Jesse Lee Peterson t-shirts. We have actually 3 different Teespring stores. So keep that in mind. You can go to thefallenstate.tv to find the Fallen State Teespring store. JesseLeePeterson.com to find the. I got distracted. Somebody said that she suspects I have a very high IQ. That's nice. Thank you, Tomiko Anderson. Go to rebuildingtheman.com to find the Bond Rebuilding the Man Teespring store. You'll find it. So, you can call in at 888-775-3773. And Nanya Business says, "Ha! Church! What a joke." What do you mean? Nanya Business? What do you mean by that? So, what's next? What was the... Oh, Chad Ryan, thank you. He got a blue Hake Report shirt. I wore a Hake Report shirt once, and I need to get maybe some other colors and stuff like that. I'm going to be buying more and more. I'm wearing this like old Boulder City, Nevada t-shirt. And people are making fun of my shirts. And they make fun of all kinds of things about me. It's a mess. Woke snack. By the way, there is some drama going around on YouTube where this one YouTuber is like banning a lot of his people. And this one guy called into my show and said he's a hypocrite because he's going after freedom of speech. Like he touts freedom of speech, but yet he's banning people from his platform, and he's saying that that's hypocrisy because he's doing exactly what YouTube and Facebook and Twitter are doing by banning people from their platforms because people are saying stuff that they don't like. Because YouTube and Facebook and Twitter are run by SJWs, and so they just ban people for so-called hate speech. And this stuff has affected me because I interviewed this guy named, what was his name? They call him the crying Nazi, which I don't like that term. Christopher Cantwell. I interviewed him, and you can hardly find that interview on YouTube because he was... Okay, so Christopher Cantwell has a lot of hate in his heart. He's very angry because of the attack on white people, and it's so ridiculous. And he was radicalized in part by the media. Also because of, probably failure in his home growing up, whatever. See, there's this picture of him. That was the thumbnail from him. Wow, nice find. So he has a show called Radical Agenda. Very entertaining guy, and just... he's straightforward about what he believes. Oh, thanks for erasing that thing. So, Christopher Cantwell has been censored. He's been kicked off of so many platforms. I believe he's only on Gab. And I could be mistaken even about that. He may have been kicked off of even that. But these social media platforms are part of the liberal brainwashing of so many people, which is why it's kind of believable maybe that 56% of Americans who were interviewed by CNN supposedly opposed the wall. But that means, and I just got an update from one of my interns who says that support for the wall is actually at an all-time high. So who do you want to believe? I believe Trump. We need the wall. And it doesn't matter whether the people want it or not. The people are too dumb. Many of the people are too dumb to want the wall. And tons more cowbell says, Cantwell is a Fed. Whatever the case, he's been kicked off of all these platforms. And so that is, to me, that's so wrong. To be kicking these people off of their own platforms, off of the, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that. Because that just makes them more mad. You're like, because that's such an injustice. And so you're just radicalizing more people who are looking at that. But hopefully it just wakes people up. But most people aren't going to wake up, right? So it's making people mad at you being the liberal establishment that is anti-free speech, anti-whatever. And it's so wrong. And so I need to re-upload that interview. It wasn't the best interview, but it was all right. It was pretty nice, and you could hear where he's coming from, and you could hear the best of what I'm trying to say to him because this guy, he got himself in trouble. Christopher Cantwell did, because he was mad, and so he went a little maybe overboard. I don't know if he did anything illegal, but he made himself a target of the feds. They say that he is a Fed, but he made himself a target, and now he got himself in trouble, and he had to fight for his innocence in court and all kinds of stuff, because he showed up at that Charlottesville riot situation where it wasn't supposed to be a riot. It was supposed to be a demonstration of the alt-right and the people who don't want General Robert E. Lee's statue to be taken down from Charlottesville. But because the liberals are becoming like ISIS, they're tearing down all of these monuments and statues, Confederate monuments. Robert E. Lee, as I've said before, is a better person than anybody who's trying to take down his monument. He was a better person, because he's dead now. But he was an upright man. He wasn't even pro-slavery, to be honest, I don't believe. But that's even beside the point. Even if he was pro-slavery, he was still a better man than all these pro-abortion people, pro-LGBT people, anti-male, anti-men, anti-white, anti-Christian people. So all these people are way worse morally than most of the slave owners and all that stuff. But there's this imaginary outcry, boogeyman of racism and Nazis and stuff like that. And it's just so ridiculous. Most people, a lot of people see through it, and it makes them mad. But we have to be smart, not mad. Free, fair speech, says Kylo Ben. Yeah, somebody else brought something up. Vahid, I believe it was, said, talk about Hake report. Please discuss the anti-BDS legislation that is being forced down our throats. We shouldn't be punished if we decide to protest Israel or any other nation for that matter. I don't know about it, but you're right. We shouldn't be punished for all that stuff. We should have the freedom to support what we want to support. And the people that support white people are considered haters, and it makes them mad, and it turns them into haters, or more of haters. It's such a mess. So once again, you can call in 888-775-3773. So going back to this host who was kicking people off of his stream, who he just didn't like him, whatever. They said something that he disagreed with. This host happens to have unorthodox beliefs, and so some of them have more orthodox beliefs or more typical beliefs, they will say stuff to him and be like, kind of attack him and stuff like that. And so he'll ban them. He'll be like, who needs that person? Nobody needs that person. And this caller of mine from last week or a couple weeks ago said that that's hypocrisy, that's anti-free speech. No, that's not anti-free speech. He has the right to manage his own show. He has the right to do that. It's anti-free speech to attack him for banning so many people. If he wants to ban them, he can do that. So anyways, Justify This says, James, when are you extending the show? I am not sure. We will be talking about it. We will be talking about it soon. Yeah, Tons More Cowbell says that host does not owe anyone a spot on his own channel. It's so different from somebody having the ability to make their own show. He's banning somebody from commenting. You sometimes have to ban people. Anyways, let's talk to Giuseppe out of Texas. Giuseppe, how you doing? Thank you, Born Mature One, for the $10 thing. Giuseppe, are you there? Can you hear me? Turn off your mute.
Are you talking to me, James? This is Scott from Orange County.
Scott.
I'm serious. I didn't say Giuseppe. I think
of course, right? I think somebody got confused. My intern is new. He's new to the system, so hey, Scott, nice to hear from you.
Okay.
Scott from Orange County.
I thought I was being fake or something. Okay.
Right.
Hey, James, what do you think about that loser Ocasio-Cortez wanting to raise the taxes to 70% for rich people?
She is a socialist. She's just a liberal, and they qualify it. They talk about it's not all of your income that's being taxed at 70%. It's 70% past a certain rate, past a certain time. But what they don't acknowledge is that's punishing somebody for being successful. There are a lot of people that they won't do a certain amount of overtime. They hate to do a certain amount of overtime because all of a sudden they get smacked. It's like the law of diminishing returns to the nth degree. So that's so wrong. And it's so ridiculous to me that a woman like her, who you would see is just like a typical girl, like college liberal girl, has become a congressman. I refuse to use congressman.
She's garbage. And why would people work? Let's say you are successful and you work hard. You have to look at it this way. Like, let's say me, I work hard.
Yeah.
Why would I work 8 months out of the year for free? That's really what it is if they're going to tax it. So
right.
I don't want to say it's like slave labor, but I'll tell you right now, if that ever passed, I wouldn't work the amount of hours I work. I'd rather go on welfare and chill.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put the crazy hours I put in. Well, I wouldn't go on welfare, but I wouldn't work as hard as I do if that's going to happen.
Yeah.
No way. And James, if they build the wall, people don't realize it. We won't have traffic anymore in Southern California. It'll be beautiful. Okay. It's true. Right. It'll be like driving on Christmas Day. No traffic.
You know the culture too of so many of these illegals. I happen to know many of them, and I know a lot of like Hispanics in general. Like the culture of drinking and driving. Like it's so common to hear about a drunk driver, illegal alien, killing somebody, and
they don't care.
And they're driving like without a license or with a license because in California and other states and municipalities, whatever, you can get a license. They can get a license. They can get a driver's license. And if they have a driver's license, like that's one more step closer to being able to vote, or they just vote anyways. And their children, the anchor babies,
they get a fake ID on MacArthur Boulevard.
MacArthur Park, Yeah, they get fake IDs. They get fake Social Security numbers and cards. The total like frauds, and yet they're acting like they are good people, and they're like law-abiding people. That's one of the fake news items. Hold on a minute.
You remember they tried? What's that?
Hold on a sec.
Put my mic on.
Turn Jesse's mic on. I have a very special guest for you guys.
So, hi.
Hi.
Am I on there?
Your voice is on. Come closer to the mic, Jesse.
Oh, now?
You won't be on camera because we didn't turn this camera on.
So the problem we're having right now is that new boy doesn't know how to answer the phone.
Right. So I answered the phone with Giuseppe, and it wasn't Giuseppe, it was Scott.
He messed up.
Normally I don't have a phone answerer, so I pick up and say,
Right.
"Hey, what's your name and where are you
Probably
calling
should
from?"
do that now.
Yeah, maybe so.
And then the second problem is Joel broke a coffee cup
Oh,
in the office.
is that true?
He broke a coffee cup
How
and
did-
left it there.
How'd you find out?
I saw it
Where was it at?
on the table where you left it.
Shameful.
This is not air
We're airing
talk.
we're airing Joel's dirty laundry.
Joel broke a coffee cup and left it there.
Shameful. Joel.
Black people.
SMH.
I cleaned it up. You know what? We're gonna talk about this later.
How did you break a coffee cup? We never had anyone break a coffee cup in the office.
I
By
was
the
doing
way-
some good cleaning,
By messing up.
and then it fell off the thing.
By making a mess.
I have a super chat I have to announce.
You need to get a Mexican to clean, not a black.
In the olden days, the
I
blacks
have
would clean
Spanish.
very well.
I have Spanish in me, so
That was the older day. Blacks can't clean anymore.
I have a little bit of Spanish. I'm not all black.
Joel broke a coffee cup.
We're gonna have to
Joel
train
is
them.
an audio engineer. He's black.
Can I put Scott back on? Poor Scott's on hold.
Yeah.
Scott, you there?
Hey, James, that was
Hey.
entertaining. I don't mind.
Good.
It's always funny.
By the way,
That becomes something.
before I forget, Rolf J gave us a super chat from, I believe that's Norwegian krona. 20 Norwegian krona. Thank you. And he said income tax is unconstitutional and space is fake.
And so we're breaking a coffee cup.
And breaking a coffee cup is fake and unconstitutional. Man, you got dogged
Hey,
out.
James,
Yeah.
do you remember when they passed the law where you have to have car insurance, and if you didn't, they would tow the car away? And do you remember
Yeah.
they overturned the law? Do you remember why they overturned it?
I did not know that they
Towing the
overturned
car
that.
away? No, you still have to have car insurance. I don't remember if it was everywhere. I think it was San Diego. This was a while ago.
Okay.
If you didn't have car insurance, they would tow away your car on the spot. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that. I may be too young or too unaware of politics at
Okay,
that
I'll
time.
tell you what I'm getting at. The reason why they overturned it was because the Mexicans, the illegals, were complaining that it was discriminatory. So they got around it by saying, I guess if they can prove the law is discriminatory on its face, meaning
Yeah.
discriminatory intent, or
That
if
is
it
so
has a
wrong.
discriminatory impact, they can overturn it. So
You
that's
know-
why they overturned it. The Mexicans said it was directed at them. So you still have to have car insurance, but your car won't be towed away
That's
at the
ridiculous.
site. That's what it was.
Man, what a mess.
I can barely remember. It was a
You
long
know that.
time ago.
You know, it just reminds me of like these. It's hard to kick somebody out who is a tenant in your home and they're not paying rent. And if you own the property, you can't. It's like very difficult to evict someone. And once you evict them, it's even hard to get them out because like they can't be like left homeless or something like that. These people have rights
Yeah.
that they don't deserve, and it's so wrong. And it reminds me of like tenure. It's impossible to. It's very tough to fire incompetent teachers like these government employees. It's hard to fire government employees, and now it's hard to punish illegals who don't belong here, who have cars and are killing people, and they don't have insurance, and they're like damaging cars
No,
and they don't have insurance. And man, it's
And
the
they
world
drive
is so
like
wrong.
they drive like they're in TJ. They don't obey the traffic laws. They'll
Yeah.
hit stoplight, run into you, and keep driving. You can't even catch them. If their
Yeah.
car still works, they'll run off.
Yeah, that's true. They will run. Shameful.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
appreciate it, Scott. Thank you.
Okay, James. Take care. Bye.
All right, you too. Lee, I think, out of Baltimore, Maryland, or caller, what's your name and where are you calling from? It's maybe what I should say.
This is Lee from Baltimore.
Oh, hey, Lee. I thought you were
How you
Lee,
doing?
the other Lee. Pretty well. How are you?
Yeah.
Thanks for calling in.
Thank you. I just turned to your show, and I said I had to call in. I really got to get this off my chest, man.
All right.
I became a conservative around like 2013, 14.
Yeah.
And I regret voting for Barack Obama, man. Like that, it seems like the Democratic Party has more issues than Sports Illustrated. These people are just making up any and everything. They were for the wall. Now they're not for it simply because they don't like the president.
Yeah.
And it just it don't make any kind of sense to me. I don't get it. And then you want to take from other businesses.
Yeah.
How do you do that? What sense does that make? That I made $1 billion because, and I'm just using this as an example. If I have my own business, I made $1 billion, and then here comes this liberal. Hey, you have more money than that guy. Give it to him. Who the hell are you? I built my business from the ground up.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm sorry that guy's homeless, but damn it, he needs to man up and do what he has to do as a man. So I get called Uncle Tom, Coon, House Negro. And I have a question for those.
And you voted for Obama twice and now regret it?
I regret it every day of my life, Mr. Jesse.
James. I'm actually James. I'm not Jesse. But yeah, man, that's a mess.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It sounds like it. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
You
don't have to regret it every day of your life. We all make mistakes. Look, we were supporting the most ridiculous people. We supported John McCain. Yes, John McCain is. I don't know if he's less evil. How can you talk about? They're both evil. Obama and McCain were both evil, and then I supported Romney, and and thankfully he didn't get into office, so that we had Obama, and Obama really woke a lot of people up, and including Trump apparently, and Trump is such a relief. Like, I should not have been mad that Obama won. I was mad when Obama won. I've told this story before. I was so mad that Obama won, won his re-election, that I was speeding the next day, and I got my first speeding ticket.
Oh, wow.
I was speeding listening to Sean Hannity ranting.
Yeah.
So I was like the typical angry white conservative man.
Oh, man. But it was a time I couldn't stand Sean Hannity.
Yeah.
Now I can't stop watching them now.
Yeah.
It's like, and don't get me wrong, there's some people that are on the conservative side. I'm like, look, you shouldn't come at somebody like this, and this is why certain Democrats don't like us.
Right.
I think it goes both ways. I think that we both have to have some kind of common ground.
Yeah.
But when you have folks that are just, like I said, when I get called out of my name, and I asked those same pro-blacks, I said, you called me a coon. Why would you call me of what the oppressor back in those days of slavery called all of us?
Yeah.
And they could never answer my question. And,
that's interesting.
It's sad, man. But I had to get that off my chest. And I'm in the correctional department, and I see these young guys coming here every day, repeat offenders every day, and it is sad. I sit here and try to talk and mentor some of these young guys, and it's sad. It's really sad. And people don't see that.
Can you introduce them to Jesse's message in some way?
You know what? I want to, because there's some that will be getting out of there soon.
Yeah.
And when I talk to certain ones, believe it or not, there were some that were like, well, I like Obama, but he didn't do anything. And I'm like, uh-oh.
These are juveniles?
Some are juveniles, some are adults.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you should get them, like, maybe one of his books, either From Rage to Responsibility. That's a nice one. Or or The Antidote, or his little 7 Guaranteed Steps to Spiritual, Family, and Financial Success guide, and tell them about like the silent prayer and silentprayer.video. He really recommends that, and I think that it could help these guys. You know what I mean? Okay.
I don't want to hold you. Another person I love, and I'll let you go after this, is that guy Jordan B. Peterson. He is awesome.
Yeah, he wants people to be responsible. I like that part.
Yeah, that man, he when I see people saying that Michael Dyson did a good job, I'm like, how? He just said a bunch of big words and it meant nothing.
Yeah, Jordan B. Peterson debated Michael Eric Dyson, and Michael Eric Dyson just makes a fool out of himself saying all these big words.
Yeah, he made a fool out of himself, and I'm just looking like,
Call him
dude, he mopped the floor with him. So I'm gonna let you go.
All right, appreciate it, Lee.
Got other callers. All right, now have a good.
All right, you too.
bye-bye.
Take care. Callers, I'm so sorry I can't get to you guys. You guys called too late. Normally you guys call earlier. What the heck? Had me hanging out to dry. Anyways, catch church with Jesse Lee Peterson in 1 hour. Church at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Central time, 2 p.m. Eastern in Los Angeles, live from Los Angeles. It's church with Jesse Lee Peterson. Go to rebuildingtheman.com/church. Also support Bond. It's doing good work. And Jesse works with some of these young juveniles and criminals, and it helps. And it'll help you too. All right, and make sure you subscribe to Bond, Rebuilding the Man on YouTube. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Wow.